Hello, CR. It appears you're the first one here tonight. Thank you for dropping in and saying hello. I know that your time is precious. You have a lot of people that you follow and support, and I appreciate your support all these years that you've been following me. I thank you so much. Tonight's talk was going to be about tonight's talk is going to be about gardening and lots of questions I've come up with. How long have you been gardening? And what got you started in gardening? And have you started planting your seeds yet? Some of you shouldn't be. I've gone through my, there she is. Yes, there she is. Hello, CR. I've gone through my seed packets and determined what I need to buy and not buy. And it's actually, I don't think I have to buy anything. I might pick up some fresh. I think I might pick up some. Some fresh carrot seeds and some fresh Brussels sprout seeds. Last year I didn't have a lot of sprouting, and I've ordered a few seeds, and I have them right here beside me. I have from Terra Edibles. My husband thought that a package coming from Terra Edibles might have been some other kind of edibles. Yes, you have to remember it's only the second week of February. Do you know when your last frost date is? Or what is the general popular opinion of when to plant in your area? Here in Ontario, the popular opinion is not to plant your transplants until after. It's an old-timey thing. My first mother-in-law used to say to me, you don't plant your garden until the full moon after the May 24th weekend. Yeah, that's about right. I have an app in my phone. So CR says I usually start in March. I have an app in my phone that I put the last frost date, and then I add 2 weeks to that. So I mark that, and it's a countdown calendar. So it tells me I've got 15 weeks left. Oh, Leanna's been gardening for decades. Yes, even on balconies, being cautiously optimistic about gardening this year. Leanna, how many weeks until your last frost date? Do you know that yet? I was just saying that I use an app, a countdown calendar app in my phone, and I still have 15 weeks before my last frost date. So I can't, that last frost date plus 2 weeks grace, which is basically the week after the May 24 weekend. So that gives me, I don't know when the full moon is. I didn't actually go and look at when the full moon after the 24th is, but my mother-in-law Peggy used to always say, not until after the full moon. And she's her old wives' tale. She probably got it from her parents, and it's right. In our part of Ontario, at least, we can't plant out until after a good week after the May 24th weekend. So doing that math, I was saying it's about 15 weeks from now, and most of my seed packets say 8 to 10 weeks. There might be a few that say 12 weeks. So if the ones that say 12 weeks are things like onions and herbs. But I was thinking I might start some lavender, or I might start some of those harder to get started herbs. Sage is always a struggle for me. I can put it out when it's no bigger than my baby finger, and by the end of the year, it's a decent sized plant. But if I want it to have a fighting chance, I have to, and to grow faster, I have to put out a larger quantity. I should find out some plants that are good for my chickens and get those started. CR says last year I did start the sunflower the last week of March. Now, did you transplant out sunflowers, or did you plant? You couldn't have planted that right in the ground. I don't know. Maybe where you are, you could plant that right in the ground. Here in Ontario, we couldn't. We probably still couldn't get a shovel in the ground at the end of March. Leanna says our last frost date is May 20th, but we can still get snow in early June. Our last frost date here in Eastern Ontario is May 8th, May 6th, May 8th, something like that. So we give until the May 24th to 29th, somewhere in there. So if you can still get snow in early June, you probably want to wait until May 20th plus 2 weeks, June 5th before you plant. So, but you want to plant your, put your starts in at a decent size. And Jody says, new glasses, Karen. You know what? These are Walmart glasses. I can see a little bit, but they're Walmart glasses. I have seen my optometrist, and I do get to say, okay, transplanted out. You can transplant sunflower seeds, sunflowers. I do get my new glasses whenever they call. They've been ordered, and they're on a rush order because they know that the other ones are broken. My prescription had changed anyway, so I needed new ones. Yes. Hello, Jody. Hello, Leanna. Hello, CR. How are you all doing tonight? And CR said, I showed it on video last year. Well, I'm just going to have to go look for that video now. There's a series going on. Hi, CR. Do I know you? CR is Creative Redundancy, and he's been following my channel for a long time. I don't know where he's from, though. And CR says, now you do. CR is a YouTube creator, Jody. CR, our last name is Rogers. So the initials CR could cover a few people in our family. And yes, CR gardens too. Jody doesn't garden anymore. I don't know if he ever really did. But he's my brother, and he's here to support me, and I appreciate that. During the month of February, there is a collaboration going on that a friend of mine started, and I'm participating. My video goes up on February 16th. And what it is freezer meals. And I will be starting onions, petunias, and rosemary on Wednesday. That's early. Oh, rosemary is one of the ones that's difficult for me to get started, and thyme. So petunias too, really? Okay. So this collaboration, YouTube creators have gotten together for Freeze It February. So if you search hashtag Freeze It February, or go into my videos and see, I did a little short that introduces it. Or if you go to my friend's channel, Bucket List Homestead, you can find the freezer meals. And on the freezer meals, it's designed for small families. So it's not freezer meals of 50 pounds worth of chicken. It's freezer meals of 2 pounds of chicken, or freezer meals. I've seen a couple of freezer meals do meatballs, and I've seen a couple of pasta dishes, and mine's coming too. But if you watch the videos and comment, you're entered into the giveaway. Every video, she's going to collect the comments and add those to a random comment picker and have a giveaway. She's got 7 different things to give away. I know one of them is I think it's Better Housekeeping cookbook or something. And then she's got some other things too. She didn't tell me what they were. Rosemary needs stratification, apparently. Well, I can throw my seeds in the freezer for a week still. I guess we could stratify all of our seeds, but then they're in and out of the freezer or in and out of the fridge. They get humidity on them. So only put in what you really want. If you only want to plant 10 seeds, only put 10 of them in, so they don't get humidity on them when they come out of the freezer or the refrigerator, because that humidity can make the rest of the package mold. I want to try peppers. Again, last year, no harvest or flowers. Leanna, can you give us some pointers on growing peppers? I can only grow jalapeno peppers. Last year was my first year of getting any green peppers, and I think I had 3 out of 6 plants. 3 peppers out of 6 plants. Leanna has been my my go-to gardening guru for years. She's got a head start over me. Woody herbs should be started now. So yeah, the solid ones. It took so long to germinate and grow. Here's a question. I considered that possibly my failure in my seed starts last year was that I overwatered everything. I don't know what the excuse was outside. Maybe it rained too much. Leanna, how much do you water your cell pack? You know, when they're in the trays and stuff. Do you water them every couple of days? Do you water them once a week? Do you water them till so there's a lot, or do you water them just a little? Do you top water, bottom water? What is your secret? I do have grow lights, and I do have grow lights and heat mats and domes and all that stuff. And Leanna says, I can't seem to grow peppers here either. I will be growing them in pots. You've had success with growing them previously. Now where you are is a little different. Maybe there's your soil might be too clay. I still think you need to. Leanna lives in Saskatchewan, and she has a bad clay bed. And I think that it would be helpful to build up on top of the clay. Plus, they're having water trouble, and she's not sure if they're even going to be able to water their gardens this year. Jody, have you ever gardened? Ever? Did you grow up gardening with Mom? I sent a link to a few different places to get some people to attend, but I'm not getting much traffic here tonight. There are 4 of us. Please hit that thumbs up and let YouTube know that you're liking these live streams, and that helps my channel to grow just a little bit. Peppers make growing tomatoes look fast. Yes, tomatoes. Peppers are so slow that the tomatoes do look fast. CR, when you plant your tomatoes, do you have a garden, or are you planting in containers, first of all? And then second of all, are you planting your tomatoes like halfway up the stem when you plant them? Tomatoes is one of the few plants that will grow. It has hairs on the stem, and if you bury it deeper, those hairs become roots, and your tomato plants can have it. They're more drought resistant that way because they've got roots that can go out and search further more easily. Doing both, so I have more options. Good. I water my seeds with a sprayer until I see roots at the bottom of the pot. Then I water from the bottom, only when the surface is dry. Okay, I can work with that. And CR smiling because he's spelt so, S-O-W. Hello, Marilyn. And CR says hi. How is everybody doing tonight? Marilyn, how are you? We're talking about gardening. Of course, it's that time of year. Marilyn, do you know when your last frost date is? Oh, hello, Jess. This is my niece, Jess. That's the first time I've seen her here. Welcome. We're just talking about gardening. Now, Jess grew up with her dad being an avid gardener, and I'm sure she could teach me a thing or two just because she was at his side when he was doing stuff. And Marilyn says, I'm fine. And Marilyn's last frost date is mid-June. Ugh, that's a bit late. So Marilyn, do you put a lot of plants in high tunnels or rows or sorry, do you make a lot of starts earlier so that they're ready to go? And Remy says, hello. Oh, sorry, I saw Remy there somewhere. The thing jumped. Hey, hey. And hello. What up, Rem? Hello, Rem. Hello, Jess. Vermiculite sprinkled on the surface helps to keep mold off the soil. I'm not sure if I've got vermiculite or perlite. I'll have to read the bag and see which one it is, but I have one or the other. Will perlite work the same way as a vermiculite, Leanna? It's the first time I haven't been at work on a Monday night. Well, it must be nice to have a day off then. And Rem says, hey, hey, CR. Jess. Hi, Jess from Leanna. So I was saying to the group before the others joined, my last frost date is probably May 6th or May 8th or something, and I have an app in my phone that I use to count backwards. It's a countdown app so that I can see how many weeks are left. And an old wives' tale my mother-in-law shared was not to plant before the full moon after May 24 weekend. And that seems to hold pretty true for Ontario, but I don't wait until the full moon. I just give the frost date plus 2 weeks. I hated having to weed. I remember one time I was asked to do it and I pulled all the tomato plants instead because they were so small I couldn't tell the difference. That wasn't a happy day. Oh yeah, I start almost everything before, and yes, I have a tunnel, but mostly to be warmer in summer. Then I have a bigger season. Yeah, it would be warm earlier. Your soil would warm up sooner. And Jess says, hi, Leanna, miss you. And Remy, thank you. Don't forget the thumbs up, guys. I sowed my onions and leeks last Saturday. I haven't started anything yet. My seed setup done. I'm probably going to set it up right here behind me because if I put it in the outbuilding, I have to lug water, and we have to turn the heat on more than just 12 degrees in the place, and that's going to be an extra expense that I don't necessarily want to take on. If I put it here, the house is warm. Not sure. Can't hurt. It allows for better air circulation. That's for the perlite, I'm assuming. Rem says, yeah, I made an Excel document to calculate the dates for my seeds. The way I store mine is not by tomatoes and peppers and onions and, by type. I sort them into bunches according to how many weeks before the last frost they get planted. So I have some that are 8 to 10 or 10 to 12, no, 8 to 10 weeks. I have some that are 8 to 10 weeks, some that are 6 to 8 weeks, some that are 4 to 6 weeks. And then I have herbs that are 8 to 10 weeks, 6 to 8. And then I've got flowers divided up too. And then I can just go and, okay, we're 8 to 10 weeks. And I grab those 3 packets and I just plant them all up. I'm actually, my laptop is sitting on the my seed packet right now because it's just the right size. And Leanna says, miss you too, Jess. Interesting way. And Excel, see, Remy's a computer guy. I'm not as familiar. I've passed an Excel course, but I'm not that savvy with it. So it's easier for me just to document it on a piece of paper and make charts and do it that way. I could do it on a ledger sheet, but clicking around all those things and making those settings in the Excel document is not in my wheelhouse. CR, how do you keep track? Or you just kind of wing it? So Remy excels at it. Yes, Remy excels at it. Have you not seen the Shed Wars? Remy excels. He grows thousands of pounds of produce in a year. He has a big family to use it all up, though, so that's awesome. Don't be afraid to push this button to see what it does. That's how I learned almost all of my computer skills. And one of the most important ones is to push the little one that looks like a floppy disk, then to save things quite often. Pretty cool, right? Hey, all. Hi, Canadian Family Life. Welcome. We're talking about gardening tonight. Hi, Tiffany. Okay, so Canadian Family Life is your name, Tiffany? I'm guessing it is. All right. Tiffany, when is your last frost date, and have you started seeds yet? Rem, when is your last frost date? Have you started seeds yet? Jess, are you doing any gardening? I know you're talking about moving soon, but do you do any container growing or anything? I don't know if you have a balcony or not. Hi, Dave. Thank you for dropping in. One of my questions tonight was, do you have a greenhouse or a high tunnel or something? And Marilyn says she does. And I'm pretty sure that Dave does. And everyone's saying, hello, hello, hello. I would love to have just a little high tunnel or greenhouse or something that's not going to blow away in the wind, because we get some pretty wicked winds out here. We're on a bit of a crest of a hill. And Dave's last frost date is already passed. I know where he is warm, but I can start microgreens though. Yes, that would be good. I want to find out about greens I can grow for my chickens. I've had lots of months to do it. I just haven't. CR says, I don't trust my last frost date. I pushed it all till June, or sorry, Ram says, I don't trust my last frost date. I pushed it all to June 10th. Should be early June. Okay. So you're probably pretty close to what Leanna's dealing with. Her last frost date is, I think she said May 20th, but she's seen it snow in the early June. What I was saying is that mine is May 6th or May 8th or whatever, but I allow that 2 weeks. We grow everything indoors, so we always have plants and seeds on the go. I just shared a picture on my Facebook recently about the plants that I have growing in the house, which is very little. I have a Christmas cactus and I have a poinsettia that's not dying. For me, that's amazing. And I have right here behind me, I have a basil and rosemary that I brought in off my deck last year. And the rosemary is actually doing surprisingly well. It's not getting leggy. It's still nice and stubby. So I'll take it. We're getting a bigger balcony with the new unit. We'll be doing container gardening, but we'll buy ready grown, except potatoes. I have some in the cupboard growing eyes. Should be good for our seeds soon. I want to buy some sweet potatoes so I can start sweet potato slips, and I want to buy some potatoes so I can get them to start sprouting, and then I'll have something to go in time. I still have 15 weeks, so I've seen snow in May. Yes, we get snow in May here. -3 tonight, not yet. We have some stuff in the greenhouse. Dave, what temperature does the greenhouse stay if it's 0 outside and it's been, sunny during the day? Does your greenhouse warm up nicely? I don't have enough experience. I don't have any experience with that. My last snow is gone in mid-May only. Yeah. Our snow will probably be gone by the 3rd week of April. Leanna says, I have one greenhouse that I use for seed starting in the house and a larger one that I put out to harden. So you're talking about the miniature portable ones, right, Leanna? And a larger one I put outside to harden off and to put larger plants in until it's safe to put them in the ground. The almanac says his last frost date is May 31st. Well, that's still 15 weeks from now. So if you add 2 weeks to that, or a week to that, then you're looking at 17 weeks still. I would love a glass greenhouse. Yes, the plastic. Well, Leanna's got the tube ones with the plastic over the top. Me too, Leanna. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever have a glass one. It's just too windy. And sorry, excuse me a second. I got a heating pad on. And now I'm sitting on, apparently I'm sitting on the cord. Let's shut that thing off. It's getting a little too warm. 18 with the sun today. Stays about 2 degrees in the greenhouse at night. Just enough to not freeze, I'm guessing then, eh? Do you have a furnace or a heater in there, Dave, to keep it from freezing? And Rem's already started seeds. And he's got 17 weeks before they can go out. Why do you say that, Jess? You are your mother's daughter. I think I am. I think I have all of her ailments. And Tiffany says, be right back. I also have lettuce, kale, and spinach in my hydroponic system. Oh man, I would love to have one of those things. Rem has what they call a let pot, and it's basically a hydroponic tank. I think it's about the size of a laptop, but it's deeper. And then it's got a light on an arm that adjusts up and down, and he can just grow from water and nutrients that they put in with the water. That would be great for growing lettuce. And I would grow kale for my chickens. Or other greens. I've tried sprouting, and they end up going sour on me every time. I'm going to have to bump it up a little bit. Heating pads, probably heating blankets, scarves, sweater, etc. Not saying, just saying. Yes, I have a heating pad on because my back was hurting, and I do have a throw blanket that's an electric throw blanket. And sometimes when I'm wearing a shirt that's not covering the front of my neck, I have to wear a scarf. And I always have a sweater on or off, and some really fuzzy slippers. Yeah, not just saying. Jess is my niece, so she knew my mother well. I don't know if anybody else in the family is as cold as I am, but yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Rem, have you grown anything for you have chickens, don't you? And Mary Lynn, you have chickens and rabbits. Do you guys grow anything for your animals? 36 days till spring, 3 months till actual spring. Ma and I both have toe sickles at the moment. Are you with your mother? I have a small electric and propane heater when I need it. Okay. So as long as it's not freezing, you're probably okay. Can you predict it all right, or does it have a thermostatic control? We don't mow the grass. Does it count? Yes, that can count. In the springtime, when we cut the first few times, before anything starts to go to flower or grow to seed, like before the dandelions bloom, we save our grass in the catcher. After that, it just goes back into the ground and we mulch everything. But we can give it to the chickens, and I can usually I sprinkle it on my garden because it's great. Where did I just jump like crazy? Everybody all at once. We should be able to tap maple trees soon. That's a really interesting topic, Rem. I tapped some trees last year, and I've got one. Basically, I've got one tree I can tap. But I tapped in January, and then I tapped again at the end of February because there was just that gap, and I kept the sap frozen until I was ready to boil it off, because it was only one tree. It wasn't much. But a friend of ours is Native Canadian, and he says, looking back at his culture, I don't remember what tribe he's from. He's right on Rice Lake, and he said that we should not be tapping our maple trees until the crows start to flock. The crows coming back is when the maple trees really are ready to be tapped. And Jess says, only until tomorrow. Are you at her house, Jess? Suzanne says, hi, Karen. Hi, Suzanne. I'm getting behind here. Everything jumped up all at once. 90 days growing season is very short here in Saskatchewan. Mary Lynn's is pretty short too. And apparently Remy's, I didn't realize Remy's was as short as that. I think mine's 108 days. And Marilyn says, but yeah, I wanted to do a rabbit garden last year, but I did not have time. I still planted things for them here and there, but nothing serious yet. Coffee walks in whatever. Hello. Thank you for coming by. Hi, Coffee. We don't know your name. And hi, Coffee walks in whatever. And Rem says, OJ. CR. Hi, Karen. Sandra Manderson. Hello, Sandra. And Little Homestead by the Beach is waving to everybody. Cool. Yes, ma'am. Oh, wow. Cool. So Jess, are you guys going home tomorrow? Or are you going to stop in for a coffee or anything along your drive? Or are you on the fast track to get home? And Ram. Curve Lake Nation? No, Curve Lake is a little further north. Curve Lake is more Bob Cajun and Buckhorn area, and he's right on Rice Lake. Like, I don't know if it's Ojibwe or what the group is. Rem's got 112 days. No, CR, it's fine. It's just that the chat feed was sort of sitting there for a while, and then it jumped up like 15 comments all at once. I heard the crows this weekend. They're coming back. We don't even have maples here. And it's Coffee Walks and whatever, OJ and Deb. Okay. OJ and Deb. Let me give that OJ and Deb. I'll have to watch your channel and see what's going on there. Oh, you're taking the train home. Darn it. Okay. Mississauga Nation. I could find it on my housing app. I use Zillow to look for real estate, and it always tells you what the neighborhood is. And you were both here, and my furnace just turned on, but it's blowing cold air. There you go, Jess. The sweater's right there. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I have to watch your channel, though, or look in to see what's going on and learn more about you. Thank you for dropping by. Jess, you love me. Shut up. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to know, have any of you used a hose reel or a hose cart? My garden is, my fixture is on the north side of my house, but my garden is on the southeast side of my house, probably 300 feet away. And I have to drag the hoses, and I'm just wondering if there's an easier way to get the hoses into place rather than having to drag them. The way it's set up now is I drag one from the house to a midway point, and I hook up another hose that I keep at the midway point, and then I drag that one to the third hose. It's over 200 feet for sure. And then a follow-up question is, how do you contain your compost? Are you growing compost or producing compost in a heap, in a barrel, I've heard some of you, I think it was somebody from this chat was talking about worm composting. I haven't got that set up. What we did last year was we just composted. I guess it's probably cold composting. We composted on a heap on the ground. And it took all summer to do anything. And when it was finally ready, it got moved, but it got moved to an area that's maybe going to be difficult to retrieve it from. It was moved by tractor. And it might be difficult to retrieve the compost out of a pile of rocks. But if I can retrieve any, that would be nice. I was thinking about chop and drop more than compost. Okay. I can see that with material that hasn't gone to seed and material that isn't diseased. Marilyn says, can't help for the water. For the compost, 2 times 3 pallets with a kind of door in front. So you use pallets to build up that little letter E shaped thing. So it's like 2 compartments. I'd like to do that. That will require going into the city and getting pallets. They do have them for free, but I can't drive with the trailer, and I don't drive in the city. I mean, I do local driving, but I don't drive into the city, and that's 45 minutes away for us. Bedtime for you. Thank you, Ram. I appreciate that. Have a great night. Sleep sweet. Ram is on the East Coast, so his time zone is different than ours. And yes, so Marilyn says, yes, exactly. She's got the 2 bins with the, yeah, so it's probably 5 pallets. Good night, Ram. Good night, Ram. I compost in a black cone composter. Not so great at it, but it's a learning curve. We do have a cone composter, and it's very slow. I find that I also have material out of my chicken coop, which is basically 2 big, like imagine 2 bales of hay, 2 square bales of hay. I pull that out of my chicken coop, and that doesn't go so well into the cone composter. But with those cone composters, compost year round. The stuff that you put in there in the winter is going to freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw, and that breaks down the material and it turns into compost faster. But you also have to stir it. So as soon as you're able to turn it in the spring, turn it. And then once a month, turn it again, turn it again. They don't generate a whole lot in those cones though. And Deb and OJ say, we used pallets and made 3 bins on our acreage. This past year, we just did a pile in a corner. That's what we've got. YouTube says Hiawatha. That makes perfect sense, Jody. Right on the north shore of Rice Lake would be Hiawatha. It's between Rice Lake and Peterborough, so the Keene area, Keene, Ontario. Hiawatha. Been chopping and dropping for the last 4 years now. I haven't practiced that very much. I know one of my neighbors used to do that. He would just pull off the leaves and drop them. I do that, but it doesn't add a layer of compost. Excuse me. We did get some manure from a neighbor, and I'm going to have to work with that. It's questionable. It's full of seeds. But I'm thinking I will manure tea that so that I can still get the nutrients out of it and not have to deal with all the seeds. CR, do you have do you have tomatoes, or are you dropping like squash leaves, or what? Like, have you had any disease problems like mildew or blight, or what is the other one that hits? Tomatoes get blight. They get it on the plant and on the tomato itself. You can chop and drop comfrey leaves, great mulch and fertilizer in one. Yes, and when we were at the Eastern Ontario homesteading conference last year, I did buy a comfrey plant, and then my husband went behind my back and bought 2 more. So I have 3 of them. And last year I just let them get established. They're in an area with rocks, so they've got comfrey has a great taproot. It can be 10 feet long, but if it went down 2 feet and hit a rock, then it's going to have to spread out somewhere. So I let them do their thing so that they can get the roots established before I start chopping them. But this year I can start chopping them. And Dave says, I put water lines in the ground from the house around the property 20 years ago. It's nice to live there for 20 years, so you've been able to do that. Now, are they buried, or are they? I put water lines in the ground from the house around. So I'm wondering if that is in the ground to your garden and then up to a spigot where you just connect again, or if you have proper irrigation systems, or are they pipes or just hoses? Because yeah, we have some areas that are rock right on top of the ground, so like the Canadian Shield, right? So we'd have to go around the rocks in order to bury anything. Let's say sunflower leaves have good coverage. I bet they do. Sunflowers can get a mildew too, I think, though, just like the leaves on your squash. And have any of you struggled with a squash borer beetle or any kind of squash bug? What we've had last year wasn't until the plants were almost mature. Buried water and power in the ground. Yeah, that infrastructure is amazing to be able to do that. And it's a young man's task, I bet. Not something that you may not want to do that now. What was the question I just asked? Squash bugs. At the end of the season, it was, we were already had harvested half of our squash when these gray bugs showed up. They didn't seem to be eating them, and they didn't seem to be eating the vines or anything. They were just all over them. I don't know if those squash bugs are going to be a problem for my squash this year. I had never seen them on the property before, but we've only been here. This will be our third garden season. I didn't see them the year before. And Leanna says, no squash bugs, but flea beetles. Flea beetles will reside in your soil. So you may think they're coming off of the fields, but they're probably right in your garden, right in the dirt. And there are ways to counteract that. I remember looking it up and sharing it with you, but I don't remember what the method is right off the top of my head now. And Sandra says, I would like to learn about herbs. Would you like to learn about growing your own culinary herbs, or would you like to learn about medicinal herbs? They're often the same plant. Rosemary and sage and thyme have great medicinal properties, and oregano. If you've got a windowsill, you can grow chives and parsley and cilantro and sage and rosemary. You can grow them right in the house. You just need to have a spot near the sunny window without being cold. I don't know what directions the windows face in your home, so that's something. Look at that. We have 10 viewers right now. How are we doing for likes on how are we doing for likes on Facebook or YouTube? I haven't gone in to look at the channel. Let's have a peek. CR says, I did notice the worms, black beetles, and spiders more last year, though. CR, did you have forest fire smoke where you were last year? We had a lot of smoke across most of the country last year, I think. And that would, sorry, I'm just checking my, it just says 10 watching. I can't tell how many likes. Does that show on my screen somewhere? Yeah, who didn't? It was bad last year. And that could have stunted some of our gardens. The plants weren't getting the oxygen they needed. And trees will breathe the smoke in at night to clean the air and then put out fresh oxygen. But it wasn't enough. They couldn't keep up. Last year, there were fires all over BC, and there were fires all over Quebec and Ontario. And there might have been some on the East Coast, too. It was awful. Even Leanna out in the middle of Saskatchewan was getting smoke. I just posted your latest video on our community page. Thank you. Where is your community page? Can you drop me a link? Or at least write down the name of it and I'll have a look. Southeastern BC didn't get as much smoke as in some years. Okay. Yeah, Jody's on the closer to the BC Alberta border where he is. And Sandra says, thank you, Sandra, for checking in. 11 likes. That's awesome. And there are nearly oh my goodness, already there are nearly 60 forest fires in Alberta right now. Right now? Yeah, that's what she said. Yikes. If this is supposed to be when it's that they're the least risk, right? Hopefully they get some rain. Oh, excuse me. Hey, we're in 45 minutes already. I did have more questions. What is your biggest garden fail? Let me all know, what is your biggest garden fail? Right now, it was on the news the other day. And Mary Lynn says, is that normal? It seems off season. Oh, here's another. So Sandra says, one that we're still burning from last year. Oh, sometimes a fire will go underground and hit a peat pocket or a root thread and follow the root along, especially if it's dry underneath, and it'll continue burning and smoldering and pop up somewhere else that you don't even expect it because you didn't know the root system was going that far or that there was a dry level of material underneath. Community tab on our YouTube. Okay, I'll have a look. I will have a look. Coffee, walks, and whatever. CR says, your biggest garden fail is timing and maintenance. Yes. I get that. Last year was my biggest garden fail, and it was weeds, up to my waist weeds. It was just awful. Some plants got choked out. My onions entirely got choked out. My beans got choked out. It wasn't great. And Leanna says, not sure. We've only lived here for 4 years, originally Ontario, but I don't think it is. Don't think it is normal for the fires to be in Alberta. Marilyn says, biggest fail, the cabbages, broccoli, cauliflower included. I don't put a net. The moth will get them. I put a net. The slugs will get them. I can't win. Have you tried a bottle cap or a cap off of a glass bottle or plastic bottle where you can put beer in it, and the slugs like the beer, and then they drown in it. Another question I had is, what have you used for trellising? Trellising is something, the snow level is too low. CR says, Leanna, the snow level is too low. Leanna is painfully aware of the moisture problems. They have had water restrictions. She wasn't allowed to water her garden last year. No lawn watering was allowed. So what have you used for trellising? What is your favorite material to use for trellising? Yeah, I don't want to do that. Suppose that all slugs around want to come to the bar too. Well, you just flush them down the toilet or squish them, whichever prefers. Your chickens might eat them, but they'll be drunk slugs. My chickens won't eat slugs. And I don't know if maybe slugs have a parasite or something, but my chickens won't eat slugs. They'll eat a frog in a heartbeat, and they'll play with a dead snake. They won't necessarily eat it, but they'll play with it. But with the snake, we had a snake that got hit by a lawnmower. And sunflower stock. What is it about the sunflower stock, CR? Oh, trellising. Yes, that's a cool idea. When we talk about the three sisters gardening method, sunflowers is a fourth sister. So that would be corn with beans and squash. But if you put the sunflowers in there, the beans will also crawl up the sunflower. I might do that this year. I want to get sunflowers out there, especially the really large heads, because those are great for my chickens. I just have to find a way to store the sunflowers Leanna says, I found out the hard way that the plastic netting from Dollarama degrades very badly in the sun. I bet it does. But to get you started, it might be one thing. Stock trellis, dead branches I have around with string. I have a lot of dead branches around. Actually, we buried a bunch this past season, but we do have a lot of dead branches. I did consider a wattle weave fence. Maybe, it's dead branches and then you just weave all the branches together. And I did consider that, but last year was how can I say it nicely without being, last year I had some health issues that really got in my way. Just wanted to stop in for a bit. Been a long day. Have a good evening. Thank you, OJ and Deb. Thank you, OJ and Deb, for dropping by. I hope to see you again. I will stop by your channel and learn more about you. And CR says, take care, coffee. Bye-bye. Have a great night. Coffee, walks, and whatever. Okay. Now I'm getting too warm. I would like to build trellising, and I would like to, of course, I'd like to buy some, but I'd love to have the cattle panel trellis that I could, stake the end in one end and arch it over into another bed and just have the beans crawl up that. Cattle panels are not as cheap here as they are in the States. People talk about them still in the States. They get their cattle panels for $20. Here, cattle panels are $85. I'm not going to be buying a cattle panel. One thing that is recommended here in Ontario is, I don't know what they call it, but when you lay concrete and there's a weave material, welded wire material that they put in the concrete to hold it reinforcing. Those can work, but they rust faster than the cattle panel does. And they may break more easily than the cattle panel was. And I still have to come up with some other things. I like the multi-purpose use of sunflowers more and more. Well, I'll have to consider that and look into that. Yeah, the chickens will love it, and they're pretty. And if I can get some that are good for flower cutting and some that are good for seed, and intersperse them all over the place. A living fence would be nice. Yes. Right now, what we have for privacy is we've put up some elderberry, and they provide fruit, and which is very, very nutritious, very antiviral, antifungal, medicinal, but they have to be cooked. You can't use them raw. And Leanna says rebar. Well, rebar is the posts, isn't it? Like they're about a centimeter across, and they're usually twisted, and can't grow bamboo, but sunflowers grow here. Yeah, I wouldn't want to put bamboo in because we do have, you have to maintain it. Once it's in, it'll go crazy, and it grows like a weed here. Sunflowers. I'm going to write that one down too, because after I shut off this live stream, I often forget half of the stuff. It's just that close to my bedtime. Welded wire panels and rebar may be cheaper than candle paddles. T-posts are expensive too. Yes, T-posts are like $18 a piece here. And they talk about them in the States like they're $5. It's like, can't do that. What we do get here is there's a step-in post we can get here. It's plastic, and it's got little, so it's like this. This is the post, and then it's got a little clip that you can hook your fence into or hook different strings into or whatever. We use it for the electric fencing for our chickens. And so it's a metal post with a plastic post around it. And that works really well for holding strings or marking. Right now we have them marking our driveway so that the snowplow guy doesn't there's a private lane here beside the house, and this guy comes in and does it. And normally he pushes the snow too far onto our lawn. So I've got the posts up there so that our elderberries don't get buried in a snowbank. So these yellow posts are sticking out of the snow. Sunflowers made good shade in hotter days of July and August. That's interesting. Like I've mentioned before, our properties like this. We have our upper acre, and then there's a ridge, and then there's our lower acre. Our lower acre is very fertile, flat soil, and we put in a lot of plants down there. But if I put, it's completely open. It's like an acre that's wide open. If I put sunflowers down there, I might have a shady spot to sit. I'm going to have to keep that in mind and build it specifically on the southwest side of the plot, so that I can keep the sun off and have someplace to sit. I sat in the shadow of sunflowers to cool off. I'm going to have to do that, especially the really big sunflowers, and just plant 2 or 3 rows of them so that they're really tall. Yeah. Thank you, CR. I will be doing that. Sunflowers as shade. I can imagine planting them on a balcony too. Plant a row of, like, a bunch of planter pots or window boxes or whatever, and put them all there. Now, you'd have to make sure that they're stocked up so that the wind doesn't blow them over, but you'd have a natural bird feeder. Excuse me, itchy nose. You'd have a natural bird feeder. All the wild birds and squirrels would be wanting to come up to your balcony to take advantage of the seeds. Bees love sunflowers too. They're great for pollinators. Now, Leanna, is that for all sunflowers, or is that for the giant dinner plate size, or is that for the smaller ones, or just in general? Look at that, guys. We made it to an hour. I'm losing my voice again. And I'm happy with an hour. I appreciate all of you guys hanging around. Let's just make it through the next 5 minutes. My questions were, have you used hose carts, and how do they help? Or do they help move hoses? And Leanna says, oh, Sandra says, we need to visit soon and help out a bit. Yes, come on by. But we won't be putting anything in the ground until the end of May, first week of June. And I'm thinking about getting rabbits. Meat rabbits, by the way. And Leanna says, all sunflowers. Okay. So my questions tonight were, have you used hose carts, and do they help you move hoses? And what have you used for trellising? And what do you do to contain your compost? What was your biggest garden fail? And do you have a greenhouse or high tunnel? I got some good answers. Thank you for hanging out, guys. I appreciate that. I'm trying to do a Monday Night Live every week, and I will take comments on, or I'd take pointers on, what do you think we should address next week? Oh, Jody, thank you. Good night, Karen. Good night, all. Thanks for taking part. See you next week. Bring a friend and hit that like button. What do you think we should talk about next week? I've got 1 minute left. Let's fill it up. I do want to get some seeds starting going. I have to come up with some shift in my video topics. I've been doing pantry and cooking and all of that, and it's time to start shifting to the next, and a series of videos on the same topic would be really good for that. So enjoyed this stream, Karen. Take care. Good night, CR. Thank you. Good night, Jody. Thank you. And Leanna says, garden tools that actually work. That's your biggest problem with your garden, is it? Just said herb gardening. Oh, this is topics for next week. Garden tools that actually work. And Jess says herb gardening. Okay, we can address those things, and in videos and in the live stream chat. So herbs. Let's address indoor and outdoor. And Garden tools that actually work. Actually work. Excellent. And Leanna seconds the chat on herbs. Well, if Jody was still here, we'd be talking about a different kind of herb, but it's legal in Canada. So we'll just not do that because I don't have any experience with that. But we can talk about garden tools that actually work and herbs. All right. Thank you for hanging out, everyone. And perennial gardening. Oh, yes, perennial gardening. That's a big deal. Getting in those herbs and those everbearing or perennial. What's the word I'm looking for? Blueberries, apples, rhubarb. Yes, LOL. And bye-bye, everyone. Thanks for hanging out tonight, guys. I appreciate this. I'll see you next time.